Cash Flow Savannah. This is episode 36. Our title today is Squatters in Savannah. Chandler, it's just you and me. Where are the squatters? Are they not going to be on the podcast?
I don't know. I hope they're not here. I
No,
We've dealt with some interesting squatters in the last month.
we have. We absolutely have. We've dealt with multiple squatter situations, I have to say. But yeah, just recently, you and I had quite the adventure, and I live for adventure.
Yeah, I know you live for it. I was not. I was taken by surprise and completely shocked. But you weren't phased. You kind of walked in there like, okay, let's just. I don't know if you were just trying to hide it and keep your cool, or you just weren't phased.
So Chandler, this is what it comes down to. Okay. This is a business. This is nothing personal. This was not my personal home, my children's, bedrooms or anything. If that had been affected, I'd been pissed. But this is a business. And so really what I'm always looking at, because obviously I have renters and guests in my properties all the time, and they're going to do stuff, and they definitely do things, and they aren't squatters. But my concern is always, did they damage the home? That's really what it comes down to, is how much is this going to cost me, if anything? And my next thought is this going to turn into a really great story? And in this case, the answer was no. Well, I guess there was damage, but it was a really great story.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about this property, the reason our recent adventure is that the reason there were squatters is because no one's been in it. And the reason no one's been in it is because it needed to be rehabbed. So even though these guys did a pretty good bit of damage, I was going to rehab the property anyway and take it down to the studs. So when I'm looking at my number one question, which is how much is this going to cost me? $0, because I was going to rip it all out anyway. So
Uh,
it wasn't anything personal. I didn't really care. And now I have a good story. So in a way, I'm really kind of making money on it, just story wise. I get paid in stories. So
there you go. That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about it that way. I never thought about, yeah, really good way to think about it.
yeah,
But could you tell us, what did we run into? And have you ever ran into that before?
ish. Um, I been able to, well, a year and a half ago, I was able to purchase an entire city block, and it's two halves of a block that are back to each other. So I say a block, but it's really, it's just a lot of properties right next to each other. And that
Yeah.
sounds really cool. It's fun to say that at parties and people go, whoa. But the uncool part of it is that it was in really bad shape. I got a killer deal. That's really my favorite way to buy real estate. And it was just such a heavy lift that I wasn't able to rehab it all at once. I don't magically have, two, four, six, $800,000 sitting around to rehab every single unit on a city block. That is a very heavy lift, as you're well aware. And when I bought the property, I knew it was a killer opportunity. I made it happen. But I also bought it while working on a hotel, and I had 2022, I don't know, I just went a little bit crazy on my shopping, and I just couldn't do it all, so we're now in 2024. I've had this part of the property, it's a 4 unit, it has been sitting for a year and a half, and I hate that. I've been paying interest on it, or whatever, holding costs ever since, but it was just such a good deal. I wasn't that excited, not that worried about it. I paid 165 basically for this quad, which is a great deal.
Yeah.
So I finally have finished my other rehabs, and we're ready to start. So you and I were able to meet our contractor over there, and we had kind of heard rumblings from the yard guys that there were squatters. Like, I kind of had a clue that we were going to see something. Had you heard that? I thought I had talked to you about that, but I'm not
Well, I had been over in that area multiple times,
sure.
but I didn't know. I knew there's a possibility, but I had no idea. So
Well, and just for reference, when I bought the property, it came with squatters, which is funny, but one of the tenants had been in this quad for 16 years, had never paid a dime in rent, and the seller was just beyond frustrated. That's why I got such a killer deal on it. And then that tenant was then renting out the other 3 units and pocketing the cash. So technically the other three were squatters, although they would not have told you that because they were paying this other gentleman. So anyway, so we purchased it back in 2020. You and I had the absolute pleasure of evicting those guys with a lot of drama, a lot of stuff. And I knew because these guys really had ownership, felt ownership of the property. They'd been there for so long. At the time, I was rehabbing the property behind it, one of them. And so I had told my contractors at the time, I said, these guys are going to come back in. I knew they were.
Yeah.
They were not leaving the area. They were just very belligerent. And so I said, we're ripping out all the fixtures because I did not want them to move back in. So since they were already, right behind there, it was very simple. We threw a dumpster on the property. We ripped out the toilets, the sinks, the tubs, you know, all plumbing was basically removed. Everything was turned off. And then I thought we had locked everything up pretty tight, which was complicated because you're looking at probably 8 doors, right?
That was a lot.
It's a lot of doors, maybe 10, I'm not really sure, but we padlocked all the doors shut. Like I thought we did a pretty good job, but I also wasn't going to be over there supervising every day. So um, I knew if they moved back in, they certainly wouldn't be so comfortable. So I felt like that would kind of slow them down.
Yeah, no, I thought it was locked up well, and I was going, I don't see, because I would drive by every once in a while. I wouldn't see anybody,
Right.
and one of the doors was just open, which we saw. Remember, we were kicking down doors, like, oh, we could have just walked through this one.
Right. Yeah, several of the doors we found later were open, but we just weren't aware. But again, it's not like I had anything valuable in there. It was just an old quad, basically. Yeah. So anyway, it was kind of fun. So the first thing we did when we walked inside was we kind of got hit with a bit of a smell, and I know that was kind of rough.
You were the first one. You were the first one to peep in there, right? Or was it Ben?
I can't remember. I was
You
definitely
stuck your head in there because you couldn't open the door, and you just kind of looked like, "What is that?" That's all I remember seeing. Is like kind of like, "What is that?"
Yeah, it stunk. And when we had last been inside, there was some trash because we had evicted the tenants. There was some, but the demo guys had removed most of the trash. It was pretty much a clean space, with old sheetrock basically. So, but yeah, that was the first thing I noticed was just trash everywhere. Like several of the rooms were just filled with, I'm assuming it's trash. I never got close enough to look, but it did appear to be trash.
It was definitely trash. That was thing about it is it's like if it was that much trash, they had to be in there for a while.
Yeah.
They're in there for a while if it was that much trash.
I mean, it's been a year and a half since you and I
Yeah,
went in, maybe even a little bit longer now that I think about it. But yeah, it had been a minute. So they definitely had time.
yeah,
But
they had been a while in there.
the crazy thing is that I don't think most of the smell was coming from the trash. The smell was coming from the feces that we found inside. And again, there's no plumbing in this house. And so it was just crazy. And honestly, Chandler, I didn't even comprehend what was going on at first. I did notice feces on the walls, and there were 5-gallon buckets. And I think they had some stuff in them too, right? There were like three or four.
Yeah, no, there was some stuff in the buckets,
Right.
but
And I couldn't figure out why they had taken it and wiped it on the wall. I'm just thinking they wiped it on the walls. That's how I think of things getting on the walls. And so I'm like, Chandler, why didn't they just sit on the bucket? Or why didn't they just go outside in the yard, to take a dump, to put it very succinctly. But you really had to kind of educate me. I don't know how you know these things, but you knew it
no,
all. I was
I
impressed.
should not. I should not know these things, but it just kind of I was like, this is what they're doing. Like it's clear they were definitely, and we're gonna show y'all a video
Yeah.
later. They were definitely popping a squat, like an air squat, like you're sitting on the wall and just letting it rip. And it,
No, I can't. I've never even
it,
thought of doing this ever, but yeah, just to back up to the wall
it
and
would have been in, I don't know, but there was plenty of buckets. Just
right. It would be
yeah,
so easy to sit on a bucket.
I'd rather sit on a bucket than because now
Right.
they have to walk around, walk in that, and because it was just you can see line after line of just poop smears all over the living room and dining room.
You can't even make this up. And we didn't. We have video to show. And the crazy thing
Uh,
was they were sleeping right there. Like they're taking dumps on the wall, literally right near where they're sleeping.
Yeah.
And there's alcohol container. I don't even know what there were, but it's interesting. The master bedroom, this is in the main unit that we were in with all the wall stains, we'll say. And so the master bedroom actually was locked up, and I said, "Oh boy, they had gone to the trouble to install deadbolts on my doors, two doors." And so Chandler, you got the joy and pleasure of having, kind of a badass moment. That was fun.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that? You did it twice.
Start the demo process,
Yes,
I guess.
yes, you were a part of the demo team for
Right.
this. So yeah, we're walking around, and I was telling my contractor this is the main unit is a three four bedroom. It's a 4 bedroom, 1.5 bath. And I said, I want to make the half bath into a full bath. Like, why wouldn't I? I'm taking it down to the studs. Well, of course, the master where the half bath is was completely dead bolted. So Chandler was very kind and kicked down the door for us. And that was kind of fun.
Yeah, we're hoping nobody was in there.
Oh my gosh, yes. I was glad there were three of us.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was the interesting was the human poo poo as I call was you were kind of keeping your cool with the contractor. I'm over here losing my mind. I'm trying at first I was trying to keep my cool because I was just kind of looking around and then finally it just kind of occurred. I was like, okay, that's like they're squatting on the wall and pooping.
Yeah, you caught up to what was going on way before I did. So that was
And
probably part of your frustration. But yeah, you were just like, this is disgusting. I hate this.
yeah, just walking around in it, just like, oh my God, I got to shower 6 times when I get home. And then yeah, just thinking about it, trying to drink this water is tough. I can't drink my water. I'm just kidding. I'm being a little dramatic, but
You were pissed. Like you were pissed and I was just fully entertained. We had very opposite reactions. I'm like, this is amazing. I've never seen or like, how much of this can I get on video? Should we come back with a camera crew? Like I was like, let's document this." And Chandler's like, "Get me out. I need a shower. I'm done." Oh
yeah,
God.
I just can't believe. I don't know. I think I was just more mad at like, hey, like somebody's got to clean this up,
Yeah.
and now it's somebody else cleaning up somebody's poop, and
Yeah.
that's just messed up in my opinion.
Well,
But
they turned my property into a human litter box, quite
it
frankly.
was
And I don't
literally,
appreciate it. But
yeah, no. But no, I was just like, God dang, and I don't even know why I would be pissed. I'm not the one having to clean it up, but yes, I feel bad for whoever has to clean it up, and I'm like,
yeah.
I I'd like to like punish the dude that was doing it. I think
Yeah,
he should be
yeah, I agree. I wanted to just say there's a better way. There's just a much better way to squat.
right in the buckets. Just let it rip in the buckets. I mean, he should have just
Or
done it.
the yard. Where it then you don't even have to take the bucket out. It's just out in the yard and no one cares. But
In
anyway,
in a
cool.
bucket would be perfect.
Exactly. Are you ready to watch the video, Chandler? I know that you experienced this
Yeah,
and
let's see it
And for
the
the
last
viewers, we're
watch
sorry
it.
you don't get the full smell. I mean, the smell was a big part of the experience that was really upsetting Chandler. Chandler does not like bad smells, and that
We
was
were
not.
waiting. I mean, we didn't. This was not a quick walkthrough. We were
That's
in
true.
there for a few minutes.
Yeah, we were. It
Just
was complicated. We had to go through, and we got to make sure what's going on, how
get
are
it
we
out,
gonna seal
everything
it
back
up.
up. Everything was basically everything was back to open. Everything had been kicked back open.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and two, I get asked a lot about construction, as a real estate investor. And I am so blessed in that I really trust my contractor. And so Chandler and I were there to do a walkthrough on 4 units. Neither you or we're not going back, right? I don't even know. It'll probably be March before you and I are even back on the property. So this was a very important visit because we're there to establish exactly what we have, what we're going to do with it. He had to go through any questions that Ben saw. You and I needed to answer those. Are we, closing off this wall and removing this door? Are we changing the roof? Yes, no. There's always a couple of yes, no questions. And I'm huge on efficiency. So we needed to be there for a good amount of time with him just so I could say, this is the plan. I'll see you in a couple of months. That's literally what we were doing. So we did have to endure the smell for quite a while so that we could get through our list. I am not a micromanager and I do not have time to visit, these construction sites 14 times a day. So
I have
um,
a question for you though. This
yeah,
is probably
okay.
what smelled worse? The small unit in the back that
Mm.
we evict the tenant out of, or that?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, just for reference for our audience, when we evicted the tenants originally, there was one unit, and I've never smelled feet as strong as I have as that unit. And I have two kids that are athletes, and I used to have to deal with all their equipment. So I don't really care for the smell of feet. And I'm gonna tell you, Chandler, I hated that. The eviction of that small apartment was worse on me smell wise because it was this teeny enclosed space. It's dark. The electric was already turned off. And the sheriff kept making you and I go in and remove stuff that she found to be valuable. And we had to move the disgusting stuff that had no value whatsoever out to the street. And I kept, man, I hated that. She kept saying, go back in, there's a table, go, there's a bag right here. That bag needs to be, yeah,
Yeah.
I had a hard time with that dark, small, no ventilation space.
Crazy enough, I think I agree with you. I
Yeah,
think that's worse than inside of the house, which is crazy.
it was pungent. That apartment was awful.
Like
I,
it's been a year and a half with nothing in there, and you could still smell it. And there's not a thing in that
that's
apartment.
true. Yeah, that's true. It still smells like feet. You're
It's
right.
funny.
It's not quite as bad, but yeah, there was a gentleman living in that. That's the crazy thing to me. There was a gentleman living in that and he didn't want to leave. We had to evict him. And I told him when I saw him at the courthouse, I said, you need a better home. Like your home is not in good repair. I'm doing you a favor making you find a new place to live. Like this isn't personal. He could have stayed if he would have paid. I offered him that. He didn't. But it was, I don't know how that guy was living in that for years.
That was worse than this house for
I
sure.
agree. I agree. We've seen some crazy stuff on this property.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hopefully nothing. Hopefully it's done. Hopefully
Hopefully you and I go back and it's gorgeous and ready for rent. Like, let's just not go back to like May.
it will be for sure.
It
Well, let's
will.
see this video. I guess
Okay,
I get.
let's see the video. Let's do it. Okay, I am going to share my screen. We practiced this, so hopefully I don't mess it up. Okay,
Mm,
so I'm going all the way back. So just for everyone's reference, this is actually the dining room and the kitchen is through that door. And you can see none of this trash was there the last time Chandler and I had been in the home. So this is all like we are now, trash collectors.
yeah, and in the very back is more trash that was like up to
Way
your
more
ankle.
trash.
There's
Exactly.
a
And you
lot of.
actually you can see here's our first little poop stain.
Yeah,
Because no room was sacred. Every room was used as a toilet, and the
that's it.
dining room was no exception.
Hopping a squat right
Yeah,
there.
that is that is how that's done, apparently. So, but anyway, notice that there's just really nothing in here. The floors are bare, like it's nothing. So, anyway, this is a very quick video. It's 14 seconds, but here's the trash. The smell is way better than the view. Notice the bucket. Cameron. Damn.
All right, right into the living space.
Yep. Notice we have our toilet, we have our bucket, and then we have our bed. How much could I pay you to sleep in that on that mattress for one night, Chandler? Well, how much would it take?
I don't know. I'd have to get that deal that you got.
You're like, if you give me the quad, I'll sleep in this mattress for one night. If
Good
I
deal.
gave you
I'll
this
sleep in
quad,
that
would you do it?
for a night.
For one night, you had to sleep there 8 hours.
Oh
Would you do it?
yeah, I could do it for that
I'm
deal.
impressed. I'm
That's
impressed.
that's
Yeah,
a few
this
hundred
wall behind
dollars.
you, Chandler, is, I mean, we got some pinstripes going on there.
Yes, and then that bucket next to me is it was full, not full, but it had some.
Yeah, it was about a third full. It was,
Here's the deal. I was thinking, so I didn't know what was right when we walked in. I had no idea. I keep thinking, right. I wish I would have looked at behind the door right when we walked in. I think they had pooped on that too because I remember walking in and stepping over poop.
I think you're right. Yeah, there was some stuff.
Right when we walked in, we had to step over.
Whoever this person or people are, I hope they never stay in any of our other units because their hygiene is horrendous. Like, it's just they're like animals. I don't even know how to say it. It's terrible what they're doing. You can see there's just I don't even know. Is this toilet paper? Like I think they even had toilet paper.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's crazy. So anyway, that is our visual for the audience. That was quite an adventure.
Quick visual.
Yeah.
I didn't even look in the other rooms. Did you see the other rooms? Were
Yeah,
they?
the main part, the main part where the video is showing is where the trash was in that back room, but the bedrooms on the side didn't, I don't think had too much. It was such a mess in there. So just for education purposes for our audience, it is illegal to squat. Okay. And had we found someone in there, we would have called the police. The police would come immediately remove them. I wasn't, you want to be careful. And that's why I was kind of glad it was three of us, just in case someone was there. I absolutely don't want to, get hurt or do anything crazy. So I was waiting. If had I even suspected that someone was inside, I would have said, "Hey, we're going to call the police and wait." I did have a different squatting situation in a different property last year, and it was also a vacant property out in Rincon, and that's what we did. We the neighbor notified us that there was a squatter. We did call the police and we met them there, and the police went through the home before we got there to clear it. And that person was not there either. But it was definitely not as bad as this one. But they left behind a lot of stuff. We ended up having to throw away a lot. We did a lot more work on that one, that squatting situation. But it is illegal to be a squatter. They don't have rights. They don't have a lease. Like anyway, it could have ended very differently. We actually got very lucky that there was no one there. But anyway,
Yeah. I wonder if there's a way that to like keep them out, like especially if you know you're going to be like holding a property for that long and not rehabbing it.
mhm.
There's a better way. I know I've seen some people put up like not the ring cameras, but something cheaper, just so they kind of know they have an idea.
And Ben
Uh,
mentioned that to me because the people that we evicted are living across the street. And that's the problem is they still think they can go there. And Ben knows this. He's very, that my contractor has now spent a good amount of time in this neighborhood. He knows it very well just because he's been working on the other part. But he said he is going to install some fake cameras and put up some signs. You can put up fencing. Fencing, is not free, like a temporary fencing, you know what I mean? We could do that. It just depends. Had it been a nicer property or something, I definitely would have handled it very differently. We've driven around. I've pulled a car out of there already. These guys, I assume the former tenants, I don't know, they had parked a car in the carport. And I was like, no, sir, this is my property. I don't know whose car it is. But as the property owner, we do have the right to have a vehicle towed from our private property. I've done that actually at other properties that I own as well that have some vacant space. We've had people put cars on there, and if it's on your property, you have every right to remove it. So we've called the tow company several times and had cars removed. And whoever the car is, if they can figure out what tow company took it, they now have to go pay a good amount of fine. So there's been a whole lot of layers to this squatting situation.
yeah, it's been fun.
It has been fun, but now that we're putting money into the property, we're going to be a lot more aggressive about keeping unwanted people out because that
Which
they're
is pretty,
yeah,
I think it's tough for them to do now because there's just somebody there every day
right,
now, and
right,
somebody's always working.
right. It gets a lot harder, which is great. And but we're gonna do what we have to do. They cannot go back in. And then when we did the eviction, they threw some rocks and stuff through the windows of part of the other building. And so we're going to do, just as a precaution, we're going to do shatterproof glass, things like that. We were just making decisions. I feel like once we've got the property back up, it's going to be fine. But once it starts to deteriorate and they kind of know that you're not watching, people do tend to move in and do whatever the heck they want. So that's on
Yeah,
me.
no doubt. So yeah, we'll see. It is interesting that they're living right across the
Yeah.
property still. Um, But yeah, no, once it's done, it'll be. I don't think they're gonna do anything.
No, once there are tenants inside, I mean, once you're faced with consequences, that slows people down quite a bit. So
Yeah,
anyway,
no doubt.
that was a really interesting experience. I'm glad you got to come, even though you were quite traumatized. But like that's real estate investing. If you're going to get the best deal, you're going to deal with the roughest properties. And I've never had a problem with that because I'm all about that price point.
Yeah, there you go. And you should get a good deal. It's a good one. And that's gonna be nice. And I'm going off track, but even for like that video, how rough it looks, it's not really. The house really isn't that rough. Weirdly enough, we've seen way worse.
We have seen way worse. It's in a great location. It's a great layout. It's brick. It has a lot of things that I like. It has really beautiful old trees, the big giant trees with moss. Like
Yeah, very nice, like kind of courtyard kind of look that could be really nice.
it's going to be beautiful. And the quad, it's a single family house and a quad on the same property. I mean, not a quad. I'm so sorry. It's a single family house and a triplex, and that's why I'm calling it a quad just for simplicity. But previously, there was no parking whatsoever for the triplex. There was only parking in the carport and the driveway for the single family house because there just isn't that much parking. But I'm excited because we're using the alleyway back behind the home. We're going to add parking for the triplex. So it's kind of, we did it for the properties behind and now we're doing it for this one. And it's going to be really beautiful and it's going to really transform that neighborhood once we get this end of the street just gorgeous.
Yeah, those look really nice because that corner is just going to be
It is.
just basically brand new. That entire corner.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
And as a real estate investor, we're able to really transform a city. And I don't think people realize that, but it really takes someone like yourself and myself, Chandler, to go buy a property that's that bad. Like your average homeowner isn't going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So
Yeah,
you've got to have someone with some skin in the game that's going, hey, there's a cash value to dealing with this, right? Who would do that for free? No one. So I'm really proud of that. There are a lot of properties in Savannah that I have personally bought, and they were the worst on the street. The neighbors were embarrassed. And the property behind this one, we have been thanked multiple times by the neighbors because it's now beautiful, absolutely brand new, good shape, no more drug dealers living there. So I'm really proud of what we do. We really are serving, the city of Savannah, and I'm proud of that.
it is going to be nice. I'm ready to see the transformation of this one. I've been waiting for a while to see this one.
Yeah.
So
Well, I got photos from Ben last night and we are already down to the studs. Like the demo is actually done on the I don't know about the triplex, but on the house, it's already gone. So
sure, I'll see him
yeah,
around and I'll check it out.
yeah.
So
And they just started 2 days ago on demo. So yeah.
good. Yeah, I'm sure. I know you're ready for it to be done.
I am. I just wish I could win the lottery or like maybe get hit by a bus and win a lawsuit or I need a large influx of cash to pay for it. I'm gonna have to borrow it and I don't want to do that, but I wish I could just fall on a money tree or something and
Yeah,
that would make
I
it a
know.
lot easier to rehab this property. It's not going to be free. 4 kitchens and 6 bathrooms and then literally everything but flooring is it's not cheap.
See for sure. It'll work itself out
It
for
will.
sure. So,
5 years from now, I'll look like a genius. Today, I look like an idiot
but
with poop on the walls.
but if you have any squatter situation, please comment below. I'd love to hear your squatter situation. I don't know if there's anything more. Maybe walking in on a squatter is more interesting than what we just experienced.
Yeah.
Um, please let us know if you have that sort of story. And please also like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Bye bye.